evening, Miss Shaw.
Hello, Mr. Oliver.
These came for you.
For me? Oh. Who left them?
Oh, I couldn't say. Found a bouquet in the entrance hall when I went downstairs this afternoon.
That's funny.
Unknown admirer, eh?
Perhaps. Unless the messenger got the address or the name wrong.
Well, hardly. You're the only tenant in the new annex. You ask me, the rents they're asking these days are much too high. You must find it very quiet up there. I mean, being the only one.
Well, I like the quiet.
Well, as I said when you first moved in, don't hesitate to call on me if you need anything. Anything, mind you.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. I'll remember. Oh, was there something else?
Oh, yes. This. Sharp as a razor now.
I'd forgotten all about it. What do I owe you?
Oh, it's all part of the service. Butcher friend of mine, Henry. Mind you, don't go cutting picture wire with it again.
I promise. And thank you.
Well, if there's nothing else you need, I'll say good night.
Good night, Mr. Oliver.
Oh, Miss Shaw.
Yes, Mr. Oliver?
I wouldn't go worrying about the identity of your unknown admirer. I'm sure you'll hear from him again. Perhaps he'll call on you.
I doubt it. Good night. Yes, hello? Hello? What do you want? What are you doing here?
Morning, Sergeant.
Morning, Harris. By the way, you've seen Sergeant Morgan?
Just coming along the corridor.
Fine.
Morning, Bob.
Eddie?
Ah. Welcome to the ranks of the elite, Harris.
How do you feel being plain clothes?
Poorer. Yeah, you got a point there. Ah, thank you, Bob.
Have a smoke.
I will.
Are they keeping you busy?
Yeah. Like a blue-bottomed fly. The super wanted some shots of his kids. God, blimey, you'd swear I was a ruddy society photographer, not an underpaid member of the forensic lab. And you?
So.
Ah, and he still got you under the whip, eh?
I'm sorry you said that.
Oh, yes?
So I haven't got your name down yet for the whip round for Newton.
So?
Yeah.
There seem to be quite a few you haven't got.
I'm getting round to them.
Come off it, Bob. Who are you kidding? Why, he'd find it easier to collect for the Hitler Memorial Fund.
What can I put you down for, Eddie?
You don't seriously expect me to make a contribution?
Look, after 30 years in the force, he deserves something besides a pension.
And he'll get it, too. It's my undying gratitude for resigning. Anyway, he's got a cushy security job to go to.
Look, he's got the finest record of any cop.
I know, Bob. Never failed to solve a major crime yet. The infallible Chief Inspector Newton, the perfect policeman. Yeah. Well, perhaps it's all right for a man to live up to a set of standards. Yeah, perhaps, but he shouldn't expect perfection in everyone else. Ah, well, Newton's not human. He's a machine, a great...
Rubbish,
No,
Eddie.
I mean it, Bob. You can't have a joke with him, or a drink, or a smoking.
You're just prejudiced because he's had you under the hammer a couple of times.
Yes, maybe. But then I'm not the only one who thinks that way. Oh, look, Bob, with his record and experience, he should have been a super at the Yard today, right? But he isn't. And why isn't he? Because you know, I know, and the Yard knows that Newton has the mentality of a glasshouse NCO. Oh, of course, he's a fisherman. Of course, he lives by the book, but you've got to have the heart as well as the hammer in this... this boxy job, Bob, because you're not dealing with statistics, but with people.
Yes,
and the
but
majority of those people need guidance, and he couldn't guide us.
Watch it, Eddie.
Yes, sorry. Well, it must have been those damn kids. One of them kept sticking his toffee apple up the lens. But I still don't know how you managed to stick him for so long, Bob. Because if you ask me, there's something very funny about a man who...
Morning, sir.
Morning, Butler. Didn't know we were running a strip club here. You wanted to see me, Morgan?
Sergeant Bedford, sir. But we've concluded our business. I don't think there's anything I can add to your idea, Bob.
I suppose his type is necessary here, but the new policeman, product of the push-button classroom. God help the force. Bring in the accounts book, will you?
Here. Get to it, Harris.
How did the Gilbert case go?
Got 2 years, sir.
Oh, stiff.
I had 2 previous convictions.
Gilbert's married, isn't he?
Yes, sir. 5 kids.
Oh, 5. Well, you better get the welfare officer.
I have,
here.
sir. She didn't want to know. She won't take charity.
Idiot.
Wouldn't worry too much about her, sir. She's managed before. She'll probably go back in the game.
Didn't know you were a moralist, but...
Well, sir, shall we say I can understand Gilbert knocking over a car. He's got the brains to go straight, and he needs the cash to feed his kids. His wife's a born tart. She'd be a tramp if Gilbert was a stockbroker.
You prefer your women to be like Caesar's wife.
Sir?
Above suspicion. Shakespeare. Huh. Let's have a look at the accounts book. Quiet night?
Yes, sir. Probably have a crime wave after you've gone.
After I've gone. I won't be long now.
I'll be sorry to see you go, sir.
Nonsense. Man should know when he's outlived his usefulness in a particular job. His chances of promotion have come to an end. Still, I'll miss some things, I suppose. England, my pride in belonging to the force. To be a good British policeman, you've got to be dedicated. Live by the book. Your work's got to be your vocation, your hobby, your whole life. Morgans of the force will never know that satisfaction. Their duty's a grind and a bind, and someone getting them out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, listen to me. By heaven, I have resigned in time. No wonder Morgan and the rest of the new image coppers will be glad to see the back of me.
Now, that's not true, sir.
No. If you collect more than a fiver on that damn silly list you've been carting around behind my back, I'll give you the canteen of cutlery.
That's a bet, sir. I've bought the charge sheet, sir. Think you're going to enjoy it out there, sir?
Bahrain, perhaps. Your company has a good security staff. Oh, there's an officers' club. Parachute regiment. Fine chaps. Who knows, Bedford, if life gets too dull, I might even get married.
You, sir?
Yes, why not? Agrees with you, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Just I thought that you were the
I
sort
was a
of...
confirmed bachelor. No such animal, Bedford. Just lack of opportunity.
Yes.
Now, how's the wife, by the way?
Oh, she's fine, sir, fine.
The kids, Gloria and...
Alan, sir, he just passed his GCE. We don't hear much from Gloria. She's still traveling as a nurse companion. She'd write more often.
Modern generation.
Yes, sir, too much money and not enough discipline. Different from what I had her at home. Chief Inspector Newton's office. Oh, yes, sir, yes. The address, sir. Hold on, sir. Yes, sir, I'm ready. That's right, sir. I'll tell him. That was the super, sir.
No, wants to see me?
Yes, sir, it's murder, I suppose.
That's funny.
Anything wrong, sir? It's Western Towers, one of those new blocks of...
Yes, I know. I can read. I'll be in the super's office. Well, you don't stand there, Bedford. Get your finger out. This is a murder case.
Sir. Get me Sergeant Morgan, will you?
Just one more, Doctor, and I'm done. She must have been a pretty girl at one time.
I'm sure your imagination is much better than mine, Sergeant.
Yes, well, I admit you can't tell much, but... Harris, no looking.
Well, I was only going to have a
no
quick...
speaky, no thinky. Evil when Detective Inspector Newton's on a case.
Newton? Oh, no.
Yes, you ask the doctor here if you don't believe me, lad.
Well, I finished with the prince.
Yeah, that may well be. But you'll be back wearing your helmet before you know it if Newton catches you showing initiative, see? Do as you're told, speak when you're spoken to, and don't go sniffing around for clues when I'm not around. Ah, thank you, Doctor. Oh, blimey, Harris. Look, if you really want something to do, go and comfort Mrs. Masters and the caretaker.
Was she a relative?
No, former employer of the girl arrived on the scene shortly after the body was discovered. Look, you'll find them in the caretaker's flat, but no questioning. Off you go, lad.
CID, hell.
You'll learn. Now then, what do you make of these petals on the body, Doctor?
As you said, Sergeant, I never deduce when Chief Inspector Newton is present. I am concerned with the facts, and they are, briefly, that the girl died between 11 and 12 last night, that death must have been instantaneous, and that she was killed by a sawn-off shotgun at point-blank range. However, as the inspector is not here, I will hazard a guess for your benefit, and say that she could have been holding some of the flowers she'd been arranging in the kitchen. But no doubt, with his usual efficiency, your inspector will compare the flowers in the kitchen with those here to determine whether they are of the same species, grown in the same soil, and are of comparative freshness.
Excellent, sir. In that case, it won't be necessary to detain you further. Bedford, perhaps you can carry out the doctor's suggestions. Since Morgan's so interested in botany, perhaps he'll assist you.
Sir,
Morgan, next time you feel tempted to delegate one of my detectives to the duties of nursemaid, remember, I'll have no hesitation in burdening you with duties other than those of the limited sphere of your darkroom.
Sir, I thought someone should be Mrs. Masters and the caretaker.
I'm quite sure the constable on duty outside is well aware of the importance
Yes,
of those
sir,
witnesses.
but-
The kitchen, I think you said, Doctor. Nasty. Nobody'd recognize that face.
Yes, the gun wasn't fired from the shoulder. Will you be present at the autopsy, Inspector?
And perhaps in the meantime you could send me a general report. Thank you, sir.
Good day, Inspector.
Morgan,
Sir?
anyone checked on next of kin?
Sir, we got here just before you did.
You still had time to give fatuous orders. All right, you can take her away if you've got enough snaps for the Black Museum.
I can afford to live here.
Yes, what is it?
Oh, these flowers in the kitchen, so they don't seem to match up with those found near the body. Why don't the killer brought in another bunch?
Anyone search this room?
Llewellyn! Anyone been in here?
No, Sergeant Bedford.
I know, sir. Shall I make a start?
No.
Or shall I check the next of kin?
No, you can leave that to me.
Take a statement from Mr. Oliver.
No, Mrs. Masters. Damn it, Bedford, you should know by now how I operate. Just tell them that I'll be with them as soon as I can. That's all, you understand? Now get out and close the door behind you.
Yes, sir. Your department.
Sergeant Bedford, emotion. Inspector wouldn't approve.
I know how important this case is to him. There aren't limits.
Not when his 100% record's at stake. I tell you, Bob, he'll find a murderer this time, even if he has to use force to make the charge stick.
You think so?
Yeah.
May bear down a bit, but he's not a sadist.
No? How about keeping Oliver and Mrs. Masters hanging around? Oh, boy, I've seen him operate. He really enjoys the cat and mouse game. But he's wallowing in it in there.
Have a cup, Mrs. Masters?
Oh, no, thank you, Mr. Oliver. I feel much better now. You've all been most kind.
Would you care for
Oh, no, thank you. But don't let me stop you. Mr. Masters, when he was alive, always took a sip of spirits at times of stress. I never acquired the habit.
Sergeant?
Detective Constable, sir. No, thank you.
No, they're not allowed to drink on duty, are they? The same with Mr. Plumley.
Hmm?
Oh, Mr. Plumley is our village police force. You do keep such long hours, don't you? I often see Mr. Plumley on duty late at night, guarding the back door of the Angel and Crown.
How much longer is the inspector going to be?
Well, it's hard to say, sir.
Well, I don't mind waiting myself. I live here, but Mrs. Masters...
Oh, please don't worry on my account, Mr. Oliver. I suppose the inspector has to investigate the scene of the crime before he can ask us the relevant questions.
Quite so, ma'am.
But we're not suspects.
Oh, everyone is suspect, Mr. Oliver. And I don't think many people knew Carol was living here.
Could have been the chance act of a madman. In fact, I'm sure it was.
I don't think so.
What?
I think Carol was afraid of someone. Oh, she never told me in so many words, but I'm sure of it. That's why the poor child asked me to come and stay for a few days.
Do you know who this someone is?
Oh, that is for the inspector to discover. But if he encounters any difficulties, I shall feel it my duty to assist him.
Assist him? You?
You think my age and civilian status a handicap, Mr. Oliver? I believe the law invests us all with powers of arrest.
Criminal investigations are best left to the authorities concerned. Isn't that so, Constable?
Quite so, sir. It can be dangerous, ma'am.
Well, we shall see. We shall see.
You can relieve the constable on duty outside the deceased flat.
Yes, sir.
Bedford, get back to the station with Morgan. I want a complete analysis on those flowers. The make, the number, and the caliber of the shot.
Yes, sir. Shall I stay and take their statements first?
No. You come back and take a statement when I'm through.
As you said.
I apologize for keeping you waiting. Bird watching, Mr. Oliver?
What?
Or horse racing?
Neither. War souvenir.
When did you last see Miss Shaw alive?
Last night, about 10:30. I delivered a bouquet of flowers to her, which had been left downstairs.
Then?
Came back to my flat.
See or hear anything unusual? Did you leave the building at any time last night, Mr. Oliver?
No.
How did you come to discover the body?
Well, when I looked out of the window this morning, I saw her car was still in the parking bay. I phoned her flat, but there was no answer. I thought perhaps she was ill. Rang the bell, got no answer, so I used the pass key and found her lying there.
What kind of a girl was she?
Oh, sweet, good-natured. Rather lonely, I would say.
Any men friends? Parties?
She never had any callers. I know what you're implying, Inspector.
Do you?
She wasn't that kind of girl. We require the very highest references. The company are most insistent on that point.
Inspector, I believe Carol was killed with a shotgun.
Yes.
Well, it seems strange to me, if not to you, that although Mr. Oliver never left the building last evening, he didn't hear anything as resounding as a shotgun explosion.
Well, I had the window open. I heard what I thought was a car backfiring.
Oh, there is, I imagine, a vast difference between an exhaust pipe and a shotgun. I don't think you're telling the truth.
If you don't mind, Mrs. Masters, I'll handle the questioning.
I was only trying to help you find out the truth, Inspector. That is what you're after, isn't it?
Perhaps you could tell me what you know about Miss Shaw.
I can only confirm what Mr. Oliver has said.
What was that, Mrs. Masters?
Well, that she was a nice, sweet-natured girl. And I can't speak more highly of the way she nursed my husband.
When did she leave his employ?
When he died, 3 months ago. I asked her to stay on at the cottage, and she did for a few weeks. But then suddenly one day she said she was leaving.
Did she give any reason?
No, but I think she was afraid.
Did she ever mention family, relations?
No, she never mentioned them, and I thought it proper not to pry.
Any men friends?
You're very insistent with that question, aren't you, Inspector?
Routine, I assure you.
Sounds quite personal when you ask it. No, to the best of my knowledge, she had no men friends.
May I ask how your husband died?
You may. Of natural causes. He was ill for many years.
How'd you come to be here this morning?
Well, Carol telephoned and asked me to come and stay for a few days.
Did she say why?
No, but I thought she sounded tense on the phone.
Thank you.
Is that all?
For the present, yes. Sergeant Bedford will have to take statements. Will you be in town, Mrs. Masters?
Well, Mr. Oliver has kindly suggested a nearby hotel where I can stay the night.
Then perhaps Bedford can call on you this afternoon after he's seen Mr. Oliver.
Yes, that will be convenient. Inspector, may I ask you a question?
That depends on the question.
Well, is the character of Miss Shaw more important to you than the identity of the killer?
Have my methods of investigation given you that impression?
Well, frankly, yes. For instance, those flowers. Now, isn't it possible the killer might have sent them?
Quite possible.
Well, then, why?
Why not? According to you and Mr. Oliver, she was a nice, sweet-natured girl. Good morning.
What did he mean by that?
I don't know. But I'm beginning to have second thoughts about our Inspector Newton.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Had your lunch?
No, sir.
Off you go.
What time do you want me to report back, sir?
Leave that to me.
And what about my relief, sir?
That's all right. I'll take care of it.
Sir?
Well, you can have the rest of the day off, lad.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Off you go.
Good evening.
What do you think?
What a day. What a ruddy day.
No joy.
I think he'd gone off his rocker. Why wouldn't he let me stay there while he was interrogating them? Why send me back to go all over their evidence again?
Well, he likes being thorough, Newton does.
That's the whole point. I gather left holding his questioning, you can drive a damn truck through. Oliver's lying his head off. Even Mrs. Masters noticed that.
Yeah. Any lead on the girl?
Ain't you the good kid?
Yes. Then how did she afford that penthouse flat? Murder without a motive, an inspector who isn't even looking for one, and here's something else for you to chew over. Was Harris there when you called on Oliver? No?
No, I thought he'd slipped out for a minute.
Yeah. Well, think again. I phoned Harris an hour ago to check on a set of prints he'd taken. Oliver said Harris hadn't been there all afternoon.
What?
Yes. So I phoned Harris's home, and Detective Constable Harris informed me that Newton had given him the rest of the day off.
Are you sure of this?
Certain, and what's more, no relief. Now, what do you make of that?
I don't know what to make of it, but somebody should find out.
Yes, you do that, Sergeant, you do that.
What do you do that for?
We don't want to advertise that you're at home, Oliver. Not tonight, at least.
You've got no right.
Sit down. Sit. No, not there. The window isn't that way you usually sit.
What do you want?
I want you to take the evening off, Oliver. Go to a cinema anywhere. I don't mind, so long as you stay away from this building.
Why?
Because I say so.
You've got no right to insist on being taken to the station.
Do you, Oliver? I could ask you some awkward questions down there, like where you really were last night.
Yes.
No, you aren't, Oliver. I know differently. So does the lady who saw you. Oh, yes, Oliver. Blue and white yachting shoes, everything. She could pick you out at an identification parade. Your employers wouldn't like the publicity. You'd lose this nice, cushy job.
You've got no proof.
I'd like to call my bluff.
How long do you want me to stay away?
Midnight. Well, Oliver, don't mention our little chat to anyone. I'll keep your secret, you keep mine. Now get going.
CID.
Hello, Eddie.
Bob, where are you?
I'm just across the road from the flats. Well, there's something very odd going on here. Oliver left about half an hour ago. Newton's car is still parked outside.
What the hell's he up to?
I wish I knew. And guess who just got in there?
Who?
Len Ferris.
What?
Remember Len Ferris? We sent him out for pushing dope a couple of years ago.
It's been a long time, Len.
How nice.
You seem to be doing well.
Times change, Mr. Newton. I run a club for the kids. Keep my nose clean.
Take a seat. This is a must-come-to.
Thank you.
She didn't have that chair when you were last here, did she?
Well, I've never been here before. I don't know. What's her name? Carol Shaw?
She has your name and number in her diary.
Well, that's possible. A lot of birds come to the club.
This one was murdered.
The way they flash it about, it's a wonder more of them don't get done in.
I'd rather you didn't smoke. Upsets me. Nice case.
Yeah.
So you didn't know Carol Shaw?
I told you on the phone.
Why'd you come here, then?
Want to help?
Are you still pushing this stuff?
No. I'm past all that.
Are you, Len?
Yes.
You must work long hours at the club.
6 until about 4 in the morning.
All that pop stuff.
Never stops. Jukebox going all the time.
Get a man on edge.
Could do his nut.
Not like the old days, Len.
You could say that again. I mean, they don't care, do they? Like we were the lost ones, not them.
No, I'm sorry, man. I just happened to make a mistake. She just happened to have your name in her diary. No hard feelings. You made the mistake.
Mistake?
Falling for your own sales talk. In the old days, you simply pushed the stuff. Now you're going to get yourself hooked.
Could I have a cigarette, please, Mr.
Not until you've told me about Carol Shaw.
I never knew Carol Shaw.
Yes, you did, Len.
No.
You killed her, didn't you?
No!
You killed her. Admit it. Admit it, damn you! Oh, is it done? Admit it, Len!
Admit it! Admit it, damn you! Well, you got mad, you can bring charges.
You heard the man, Len. You want to prefer charges? Satisfied. Satisfied?
Oh, I don't let you intimidate witnesses just to keep up your damn record.
Is that what you think?
What do you expect me to think? Why don't you pull in Oliver? He's obviously lying his head off.
Of course he lied. If you'd have paid more attention to your routine duties and instead of poking your nose into my affairs, you'd have known why he lied. Remember last night's entries in the occurrences book?
Yes, of course.
No, you don't. Otherwise, you'd have recalled 2 complaints about a peeping Tom. One at a nurse's home around the corner, the other by a lady at number 16 Western Drive. Do you know where number 16 Western Drive is, Sergeant?
Yes, 16.
Right opposite this block of flats. Oliver's admitted that it was him. One complaint was at 11 o'clock, the other at 12, when the lady died. So Oliver had to be out of the building. And do you think the killer would have used a shotgun knowing that Oliver was next door?
All right, so you made your point, but what's all this got to do with intimidating Lem Ferris?
He's my concern.
I'm sorry, sir. It's not good enough.
Please yourself.
Look, don't force me to report this to the super, sir.
You can do what you like in the morning, but what I choose to do in my own free time is my own concern. If you interfere again, I'll have you up for it. Gross insubordination, even if I have to perjure myself.
Don't worry, Inspector. I'm not going back to pounding the beat for your ego, and neither is anyone else.
Could I have a smoke, please, Mr. Newton? Pot is all I can get, but without it,
Until you told me about Carol Shaw.
I never knew Carol Shaw.
Len, look. Look at her, Len. Look at her. When did you meet her? Did your sauce run dry?
I told you.
Oh, I can imagine what it must be like. Every nerve in your body screaming for a fix. Sweating. Twitching. Yawning, itching. And suddenly the miracle happens. You meet her, a new source of supply. That's the way it happened, wasn't it, Len?
Yes, I knew her. I knew the little bitch.
No, Len. She was a nice, respectable, sweet-natured girl. And don't you ever forget it. Now, what was she?
Nice, respectable, sweet-natured girl.
And when did you meet this nice, respectable, sweet-natured girl?
Could I have one of my cigarettes? Please. Met her about 2 months ago. Like you said, I'd run dry at the time. The narcotics squad was all over the place. 2 of the biggest pushers had been taken in. Things were really tight. Even Purple Hearts were scarce. I was in a bad way. Then she came into the club. I couldn't imagine what a chick like that was doing in a club like ours. She didn't fit. She looked like a choir girl. But then she caught my eye, and I knew that she'd nailed me as needing a fix. Now, that was funny, because usually it takes one junkie to recognize another. And she didn't look like she was hooked. But she did know. She ordered a coffee, and I joined her. But it still didn't click that she was trying to push the stuff in me. Even an amateur wouldn't try to make a contact out there in the open. And at the time, I didn't know that behind that innocent act, there was a real little Nice, respectable, sweet-natured girl. I offered her the sugar. She said, no thank you, she preferred saccharin. And she took out a tube from her bag and tapped it in her palm. But no tablet came out, just powder. She asked me if I'd like to try it, see if it was too sweet. I wet a finger and tasted it. I nearly hit the cellar roof. It was horse, pure horse. I made a grab for the cocaine, but she poured it in the coffee. Oh, she was a real little... that was. And so I paid. And the next time, she upped the price, and so on and so forth. When I was short of the ready, she just looked and shook her head sadly. But mostly she smiled. Smiled as sweet as saccharin. And that's the whole story, Mr. Newton. Why should I kill her, cut my supply?
Like you said, Len, she kept on upping the price.
I didn't even know her name.
You could have followed her here.
I tried that once and she spotted me. She said if I ever did that again, she'd make me break the habit the hard way. So I promised.
Did she have any difficulty in getting the stuff?
No, she could always get in him. So why should I kill her? You've got to believe me, mister.
All right, Len. But if you ever mention one word of this to anyone, I'll bring you in and I'll hold you without so much as an aspirin until you confess to everything from treason to train robbery. Understand?
I need... When you searched the fact you didn't fuck...
No.
You don't know why I could get some, do you?
Try hospital.
Yeah.
Look, you don't mean to say after all you've told me you're still hesitating.
It's not as easy as all that. After all these years, just to chuck his career in the ash can.
He uses you as a doormat, ignores your right by rank and relationship to participate, and you talk of loyalties.
It's not like you.
Well, all the more reason to report him to the super now before he can do any more harm.
What do you mean?
Look, Bob, when he started acting up on this case, I thought at first, like you, it was just a question of his 100% record being at stake, but now I'm not so sure.
Well, come to the point.
Yeah, all right. There's no other explanation. I believe Newton to be personally involved.
Do you realize what you're saying?
Oh, yes.
You stand there, Eddie. I know you never liked the inspector. But ever since this case started, you've been getting on and on to me about him. What's your game?
What do you mean?
I think you are personally interested that the Inspector Newton suspended.
Oh, that's ridiculous, Bob.
No more ridiculous than your accusation.
No, look, I didn't say that...
All right. Let's take it easy. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to do anything about this until tomorrow morning. You take my advice, you'll do just the same. Too big a thing to act lightly. Put your raincoat on. It's a great deal of money in it. Where'd you get it? Well?
I found it. Under the mattress in the girl's flat after Newton was supposed to have searched it.
When was this?
Well, I discovered the flat was unguarded, but look, don't you see, Bob? This is positive proof he's involved. He can't have missed it. He should have handed it in with the rest of her personal affairs.
So should you have, Eddie?
Oh, what? And advertise the fact I was on to him? No. No, I wasn't ready to show my hand.
What are you going to do with this money, Eddie?
Give it to the super in the morning.
Were you?
Oh, Bob.
Well?
Yes, sure.
And why didn't you tell me about it?
Well, let's say you are a little biased.
And let's say that you are a bloody liar.
Now, look here.
You thought Newton had missed it, didn't you? Didn't occur to you that he may have left it there on purpose.
What for?
Bait.
Bait?
Every murder needs a motive. What about robbery?
Oh, don't make me laugh. You think the murderer would return for that?
Why not? You did?
Good evening, Inspector.
Good evening. I must apologize for asking you to come round at this hour.
Oh, not at all. You said on the telephone you wanted to clear up a few points.
Yes.
What a beautiful flat this is. Carol always had such good taste.
Flowers.
They're from my garden. Carol loved flowers.
Perhaps we'd better put them in water.
Yes, they live longer, don't they? Or don't die as quickly. Depends how one looks at it. If only people could die like flowers, slowly and without pain. My husband died slowly, in great pain. I watched him, month after month. What do you think about dying, Inspector?
I haven't thought about it recently.
Not even Carol's death?
She died quickly.
Do you approve of her death?
I'm a policeman, not a judge.
Or executioner?
No, just a policeman.
She was such a talented child, Inspector. She had so much to offer the world.
I wouldn't know.
Wouldn't you, Inspector? But surely you know why she could afford such a luxurious flat, and why she came to London after my husband died.
I have personal reasons for not answering those questions.
I always thought policemen put duty before personal relationships. What are you hiding, Inspector?
Mrs. Masters, why didn't you tell anyone that you knew Carol Shaw was stealing your husband's drugs?
Because I didn't find out until after she'd left. Please sit down, Inspector. Let me tell you about Carol. You see, her main fault was that she'd only learned how to acquire, never to give. All these material things, all was taking. Taking the drugs that could have made my husband's last years peaceful. Giving him short measure when he was in such agony. No, such a terribly wicked, cruel thing for such a talented girl to do.
I think I understand, Mrs. Masters. Perhaps I could find a vase for the flowers.
You know, I must confess, Inspector, I misjudged you when we first met.
Is that so?
Yes. Well, your methods of investigation, they were a trifle biased, shall we say.
It's all I could do in the circumstances.
But I am glad you understand why I had to rid the world of such an evil girl.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Masters. But I must ask you to accompany me to the station.
But I'm not guilty, Inspector. She was a nurse. Who knows how many more poor souls she let die in agony. I'm not guilty.
Give it to me, Mrs. Masters. No, the murder won't help. Don't!
Damn it all, Sam, there's no excuse for your behavior. Intimidating the public, riding roughshod over your men, interrogating the suspect without an official warning or witnesses. And then you allow the woman to commit suicide right under your very nose. I appreciate the circumstances under which you conducted the case were unusual, but you must understand it's not within my powers to hush up the almighty stink that's going to follow. I'll have to make a full report to the Commissioner.
I understand, sir.
Sorry, sir.
Sir. Morning, Bedford.
You heard?
Yeah, it's just the end.
The end. Yes, you're right. That's just about it.
You think this will make any difference to your new job?
What do you think? Ironic, isn't it? First time in my life I don't go by the book. So now they're throwing the book at me.
You realize I had to make that report. I have my own reputation.
Yes, I understand, Bedford. You were just doing your duty.
Why the hell did you play it that way?
I found this photograph in the girl's flat.
This is my daughter, Glory.
She was also Carol Shaw.